Hello, crafty friends. This is Anya General with Ink, Paper, Scissors. If you love card making and want more ideas for using your scraps and pattern paper, you're in the right place. This is episode 11 of my Use Your Scraps and Pattern Paper series. I upload new videos every Tuesday and Thursday, with a live stream on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would appreciate it if you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel so you never miss a video. So today, I am using a few die sets by Spellbinders that I thought were perfect to use with pattern paper. You will see me create 7 cards today, and in all 7 cards, I use these dies in a bit of a different way. I also have a few bonus cards for you at the end, so make sure to stick around to the end of the video. I will link all the supplies used in today's video in the video description below and on my visual supply list. I also wanted to quickly remind you that today is the final day to enter the giveaway I'm hosting on my Instagram, tied to last Thursday's video. Altenew generously provided 2 gift cards for this giveaway, and I'm so grateful to them for supporting our crafty community. If you haven't already entered, be sure to head over to my Instagram and check out the post. It's linked for you in the video description below. Don't miss your chance to win. We've got a lot to get through today, so let's dive right in. I'm starting out with the Torn Paper Edges dies by Spellbinders, and I've chosen a pattern paper that I absolutely love. This paper is going to be the star of the card, so I recommend picking something that really speaks to you. I trimmed my pattern paper down to 4¼ inch by 5½ inches, which is the standard A2 size here in the US. Next, I am bringing in my Anna Griffin magnetic die cutting plate. I love the Anna Griffin magnetic plate as it helps keep your dies in place without using tape. I aligned the notebook torn paper edge die along the left side of my patterned paper, and on the right side, I used one of the other designs from the Torn Paper Edgers set. I try to position both dies fairly close to the edges, so my final panel only ends up slightly smaller than the original A2 size. Once everything is lined up, I run the panel through my Anna Griffin Empress die cutting machine, then remove the dies and make sure both sides had cut cleanly. I really love how these torn edges add a fun, organic feel to the design. To make the patterned paper pop even more, I brought in a piece of lime green cardstock that coordinates beautifully with the leaves in the paper. I cut it down to 4¼ inches by 5½ inches to use as a background layer behind my torn edge panel. Now you could absolutely use a green cardstock card base here instead, but personally I tend to use A2 panels on my card fronts and keep my card bases white. It's a great way to save on cardstock. You can get 4 A2 panels from a single sheet, as opposed to just 2 full card bases. Plus, I like how the white interior gives a clean space to write a message. For my card bases, I always reach for accent opaque 100-pound cardstock. It's a thick, high-quality cardstock that provides a sturdy base for all the layers I tend to add, and it's very affordable, which makes it perfect for everyday card making. I adhere the lime green cardstock to my card base, then add fun foam behind my patterned paper panel for dimension. Once I adhere it to the card front, it gives the impression of a beautiful page torn straight out of a well-loved book. I absolutely love this effect. It's whimsical and nostalgic all at once. To finish the card, I add the sentiment, "It's your day and you deserve the best," from the One Go solid sentiment strips set by Altenew. These sentiments are super versatile and perfectly crisp thanks to the BetterPress system. Then I rummage through my box of pre-made die cuts and select a colored butterfly from the With Sympathy stamp and die set by Hero Arts. I pop up the butterfly using a foam square for added interest and dimension. And just like that, my card is complete. For my second card, I choose another piece of patterned paper, making sure it's large enough to be cut down to 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. I'm using the same notebook torn paper edge die again, but this time I align it at the top of my cardstock. Then I add another torn edge die to the bottom and run it through my die cutting machine. Next, I align the torn edges on both the right and left sides so that the entire panel has a fully torn appearance. It ends up looking like a page that was dramatically torn out of a journal, so fun and different. These torn paper edgers are incredibly versatile, and my brain is already buzzing with more ideas on how to pair them with patterned paper. You can go from vintage and shabby chic to fun and whimsical depending on the paper you use. I again add fun foam behind the panel for dimension and adhere it to my card base. Then I grab one of the longer sentiment strips from the same One Go solid sentiment strips, BetterPress plate, and cut it into 3 smaller sections. I add black fun foam behind each piece to give it a lifted look and arrange the segments on my card front. To complement the sentiment, I add several colored hearts around it, also popped up with fun foam. These hearts come from the same With Sympathy stamp set by Hero Arts, and I love how they help tie the whole design together. To finish this card, I add a bit of Twilight Stickles on top of the hearts for sparkle and let them dry completely. And my second card is done. At this point, I realize I might run out of sentiment strips, so I go ahead and stamp and die cut more to ensure I have enough to finish all my cards. It's always a good idea to create extra sentiments in one go. It saves time and keeps your creative momentum going. Next, I move on to the Push Pin Notes dies by Spellbinders. I select a busier piece of patterned paper and trim it to fit my die cut. Then I grab a coordinating light blue cardstock. This one is Saltwater Taffy by Tailored Expressions. I cut it down to the standard 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. To match the pink roses in the pattern, I choose a pink cardstock for my note, and I arrange all my dies on my magnetic mat for easy alignment. For the pin, I use brushed silver cardstock for the metal part and black and dark gray cardstock for the plastic portion. After die cutting all the pieces, I start assembling the note and pin elements. I change my mind a bit here and decide to trim the blue background cardstock down to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches so that it's slightly smaller than the card base. I tilt it slightly when adhering it to the card front to give it a playful, imperfect look, very much like a real pinned note. Then I add foam behind the assembled note and adhere it to the card front. I pop up the pin as well and adhere it so it looks like it's securing the note in place. To finish off the card, I add a sentiment strip with dimension that reads, "You've got this," and my third card is complete. For my next card, I continue using the Push Pin Notes dies. I cut a piece of patterned paper to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches and use white cardstock for the note die cut and teal cardstock for the pin. I still use brushed silver cardstock for the metal part of the pin, and after die cutting, I assemble everything. Now it's time to build the card. I adhere the patterned paper onto a white card base, centering it carefully. Then I add fun foam behind my white note die cut and grab a Sharpie to handwrite a custom message directly onto the note. The beauty of this die is that it's designed to mimic a real piece of paper, so you can handwrite anything you want, making each card incredibly personal. I then adhere the note onto the patterned paper, followed by the assembled pin. And that wraps up my fourth card. For my fifth card, I used the Real Color die by Spellbinders. I look through my gray cardstock scraps and decide to use a light gray for the reel. I die cut 2 layers to stack for added dimension. Then I die cut the small color squares from various pieces of patterned paper. Just 2 of each color is all I need. To coordinate, I also die cut a push pin using the previous set, this time in black and dark gray, and I assemble it. Once all the elements are ready, I begin adhering the color squares to the reel. For the background, I pull out a gorgeous alcohol ink background from my scrap stash. It has the perfect blend of colors and texture. I trim it to 4¼ inches by 5½ inches and adhere it to a white card base. If you'd like to see a tutorial on how I make alcohol ink backgrounds like this one, let me know in the comments and I'll add it to my video list. Next, I pop up the color reel with fun foam and adhere it slightly off-center on the card base. I add the push pin over the reel and then pop up a sentiment strip in the center of the reel that reads, "Sending big hugs." Because Yupo paper can be slippery when using liquid glue, I recommend using a tape runner or allowing the glue time to set. I press a stamping block gently on top and let the glue dry before handling the card further. After a few minutes, everything is securely in place, and this card is complete. Now let's step it up a bit. For the next set, I'm using 1 patterned paper background to create 2 coordinating cards. I start by cutting the patterned paper to 4¼ inches wide. Then add the torn edge dies on both sides and run it through my die cutting machine. Afterward, I trim the panel down to 5½ inches tall. Since I want these last 2 cards to feature flowers, I pull out the Anemone and Cosmos dies by Spellbinders. I die cut all the pieces from white cardstock, which gives me full control to color them the way I want. What I love about these dies is that each piece is labeled with a number etched into the metal, telling you how many pieces you need for each flower. Super helpful for easy assembly. I quickly ink blend each piece using Altenew inks. For the anemone, I use Arctic as my base color and Persian blue for the edges. For the greenery, I use parrot and moss, and for the flower centers, I add a touch of redwood. For the cosmos, I use bamboo and moss for the foliage. My blending is loose. I'm not aiming for perfection here. These inks blend beautifully and smooth out as they dry. For the flower centers, I use Snapdragon. And for the cosmos flowers, I go with Coral Berry and Puffy Heart. Once everything is colored, I assemble the flowers. I add pink fun foam behind my torn edge patterned paper panel and adhere it to a white card base. Then I arrange and adhere one cosmos flower, popping it up with foam and tucking greenery behind it. A happy birthday sentiment on foam finishes this card. For my final card, I used the leftover pieces of patterned paper from the previous design. I glued them to the right and left edges of a white card base, creating the illusion that the center piece has been torn away. Since the strips were originally 6 inches long, I trimmed the overhang to fit the 5.5-inch height of the card. I arranged 3 flowers on the card front, and once I'm happy with the placement, I pop them up with foam squares. I tuck in bits of greenery behind each flower so it looks like a cheerful bouquet. Then I add a sentiment strip that says, "Hello, my friend," popped up with foam for dimension. To finish it all off, I add a butterfly from the With Sympathy stamp and die set by Hero Arts, and this final card is complete. Now, let's take a quick look at some bonus cards I promised you. And there you have it, many more card ideas using patterned paper. I hope this video inspires you to reach into your stash, pull out those beautiful patterned papers, and give some of these techniques a try. If you're interested in any of the dies I used today, I've linked them for you in the video description below. If you choose to shop using my affiliate links, it helps support my channel at no additional cost to you, and I truly appreciate it. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you don't miss any future crafty inspiration. Let me know in the comments which card was your favorite, and if you'd like to see more patterned paper-based designs. Happy crafting, and I'll see you next time.